you know, the media perpetuates this kind of like immortality that, you know, whether it be movies or TV or the world of fashion. And for that reason, I think it's interesting that you united the element of terrorism with the high fashion world. And I'm wondering whether that was a springboard for you in writing the script in the first place.
Well, I like polarities and extremes in every aspect of life, and in characters, in a style of making movies, in subject matter. The movie started, Exposed, begins with a character. It begins with a sort of post-women's lib figure who has an unconscious nose for trouble, who attracts it, draws it almost in spite of herself, who also takes for granted the things that boringly Neanderthals debate about, both in movies and out, about women's lib. Movies like 9 to 5 and An Unmarried Women, one comically, the other seriously, talking about whether women should be allowed to cross the street, whether they should be able to urinate without permission, whether they should be, you know, I mean, all this stuff that really only regressive imbeciles are going to argue about and make a whole movie about it. Well, the fact that there are real problems in that area is not something to slough off, but movies, to me, are not a forum, or should not be a forum, for adding to some low-grade debate. So what I tried to do here is start with a character who is who takes all this for granted, and let her, through her own qualities, restlessness, curiosity, this unconscious nose for trouble, risk-taking, compulsive risk-taking, love of danger, adventure, excitement, horniness, exotic desires, take her and let her go where she will. Let her set her up in circumstances that are restrictive at the beginning. School that she doesn't really like, teacher that she's been involved with, trying to break away from, family that's interesting but repressive. Let her break away and go to New York, and then it was open-ended from there on. So all the things that came up once she got to New York and then to Paris in Exposed came up because it seemed to me the inevitable, or one of the inevitable next steps she might have taken. Terrorism and high fashion, that juxtaposition, grew then almost accidentally out of that progression of events, but knowing my own unconscious nose for those subjects, I think that I probably had a certain collusive effect on getting that story to go in those directions, getting that character to move in those directions. I think that both Nastassia Kinski and Elizabeth Carlson, who in many ways are one and the same person, had a similar intrigue, infatuation with those two worlds. Nastassia is a model, first of all, or was a model, so she certainly knew that area. And the other, the terrorist world, is one that I think would appeal to almost any young, restless, curious, radically oriented young woman. There's a real appeal there.
When Paul Schrader was on the show, he mentioned that Nastassia Kinski had this kind of premature stardom, and that in working with her, he really felt her kind of insecurity in being built up as this kind of icon kind of a figure. And it seems that you've made, I don't know if you feel the same way, but it seems to have worked for your benefit in Exposed, her whole, the way that she does bloom as a model.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what happens is that for the first time in Exposed, Nastassia had a chance to show all of these contradictory sides of herself, which in the past she's been forced, for the most part, to hide. Cat People, One from the Heart, and Tess lace her up quite a bit. An earlier film with Mastroianni, a Latuada film, Stay As You Are, lets her loose a little more. And in fact, it was that film where I saw this range of qualities even before I knew her. That is to say that she isn't just a Garbo Dietrich figure, sort of glamorous and cold, and the dark femme fatale European vamp, which is the fashion model of image, but rather a sort of awkward, horny, crazy, uncontrolled, passionate, volatile, explosive woman. And I tried to put the two together to start with this restless intelligence and curiosity, and then let it go in both directions, which is why she could never be happy just being a model, either in real life, Nastassia, or in Exposed, Elizabeth Carlson, and would be looking for some kind of breakaway from it through romance, through adventure, through danger. Nastassia is very ambitious on the one hand and impatient with the fruits of ambition on the other. She is, I think, of that school which I certainly sympathize with. I feel a part of myself, of Jeffersonian school, where he said that, you know, show me a man who is satisfied and I will show you a failure. And I think in characters like Nastassia and Elizabeth Carlson in Exposed, and Daniel Jolene and Revis, the whole temperament of the movie, and any movie I would do really, is filled with characters who want to know what's next the minute there's been any fulfillment of ambition. That is to say that there is both ambition and a subversion of ambition. That is to say that ambition self-destructs as soon as it is realized. There is never that sort of sitting back and patting on one's own back, which is the enemy of organic development as an artist or as a human being, and something which, by the way, Hollywood and being involved in movies or modeling or any kind of glamorous or exciting or highly sped up, rich world is likely to I got lost in my sentence. But what my point is that all of these temptations seduce one away, try to seduce one away from continuing with the energy and restless and dissatisfied temperament that got one involved in the first place. It's very easy for an actor, an actress, a director, a writer, a producer to sit by a pool in Hollywood, lay out 5 projects, stop living, stop mixing with the world, stop feeling tense, get a business manager, an agent, a publicist, a press agent, and live a totally fabricated, fake, dreary life which desiccates the juices that were initially there. And I think that's one of the reasons that so many terrific, talented people, directors and actors and writers, were so good when they were younger and got so dull or so much less exciting as they got older. Look at Warren Beatty, who I still love, but I mean Warren Beatty in Lilith, in Mickey One, in All Fall Down. I mean, there is no other, I think, no other young actor beside Brando who did such exciting things when he was young. Paul Newman, The Left-Handed Gun, by far the best performance of his career. His early Arthur Penn, Billy the Kid, weird performance.
Redford in The Chase.
I was just going to say, in The Chase and in Downhill Racer and even in Inside Daisy Clover and This Property is Condemned. And then you go to Redford today, and it's a complete flattening out of what was interesting and raw in him. Then the number of directors and writers one could speak of that way. And it isn't that these people are washed up or used up or have lost talent. It's that as success sets in and ambition is realized, instead of self-subversion, there's a kind of intelligent planning for continued success, and often it pays off. You can fool the public. It's probably easier to get them on your side playing a softer game. I mean, let's say, put yourself in Warren Beatty's shoes. All Fall Down, Mickey One, and Lilith made combined probably about a 1/5 the money or a 1/10 the money or a 20th the money that Shampoo made, or that Heaven Can Wait made. So that now in Reds, it's an interesting case because it's a guy going in 2 different directions at the same time. But what does a guy like that do? Does he say, I'm going to stick to? Does Paul Newman keep playing roles as ambitious as Billy the Kid and have audiences say he's weird, or does he become Paul Newman? Does he play to the mainstream? It's it's almost a conscious choice. Nastassia Kinski will be interesting in that regard. I think she'll probably do both. She'll do some mainstream films, like, which I guess it'll be Unfaithfully Yours, but I think she'll continue to do films like Exposed, which really challenge her, set her off popping, and reach in a deep level those people in the audience who are finally like her, people who are not hiding from themselves, who don't want movie actors or directors or writers who have 5 scripts spread out in front of them on one phone with their business manager and the other with their press agent.